Well, Matt, welcome to Halfway Runaways.
Thank you, Frank.
I know I thought about this. I know we kind of talked about it, but yesterday when I was like, all right, who do we bring on? It was kind of short notice. I think we were going to wait for all the editing to come back, but there wasn't. I didn't try too hard, but the people that I tried with, it didn't seem like it was going to work out, right? And I was like, why don't we do this? And I feel like we can talk about a lot of things. We're kind of documenting our journey of sobriety. And I was thinking about this while I was exercising too today. The last 4 months have been kind of wild. A lot's happened.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
I agree.
I mean, from, let's just say January 1 to whatever we're at today, May 7th, we've done a pretty good job keeping kind of calm for the tumultuous kind of journey that we've kind of gone. It's been sober,
Mm-hmm.
right? But it's been, I've had job changes. You've had, your changes that you can talk about. But I didn't, I was thinking about it. It's been a lot packed into 4 months. But it's kind of not a quarterly, because this would be a thirdly. But if we do this for a year, right? If it's for 4 months now, then another 4 months and another 4 months. Where were you at? Let's just say 4 months ago. Where was your the mindset at 4 months ago?
Well, I was miserable. I was trying everything I could not to go into treatment. But I still must have had some sort of hope, because I was in IOP, intensive outpatient program for alcohol abuse. And so I was doing that because I knew I couldn't just keep going in active addiction. But I really didn't want to do the hard stuff. I didn't want to go into inpatient treatment and have to call my boss. And
When was this? December?
the end of December.
Yeah, I remember talking to you.
But so that's where my head was, but then I kept relapsing at IOP, so they pretty much told me I have to go to a
Inpatient?
another level of care.
Dude, I remember that. Where you were like, I did it, and I don't know if I'm going to lie. I remember you didn't really want to lie about it, but you were like, I'm not going to tell him till Monday. I'm not going to tell him till the next week. I'll just call out today and then go back. But that's a miserable kind of existence.
Yeah.
Because I've been there too, where, man, I have been in some kind of program and I really want it, right? I really want to get out of it what they say I can or whatever they're offering. And then, man, you just got to show back up and you're like, dude, you feel like a piece of crap. You feel, and now you're stepping in amongst your peers that you've really only known for a few weeks. But for some reason you think their opinion matters to you for some reason, but it doesn't. You're never going to see him again once you leave that program. But for some reason you walk in, and you're like, I'm so embarrassed.
Yeah.
And and then you enter in, and I wasn't doing I was doing great until I wasn't, and I didn't want to tell you, but
yeah. All you told me was you were going through a little depression.
I know.
But yeah, so then I went in. So I was like, fine, I'll go to rehab, but I can only go for 2 weeks.
Oh yeah.
Because I had this promotion I wanted to get at work. So I was like, all right, I'll go for 2 weeks, and then I'll come back, and then I'll come back here to IOP. I'll live in sober living. I'll do AA. I'll do all the things. And so I went into treatment, and I was so miserable. Oh my God, it hurt so much. That first week, I slept through it. When I wasn't sleeping, I was just crying.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't eating. It was terrible.
Yeah, that's a weird one, because I've gone through treatment before and I've cried a lot and just been like, why am I crying today? I don't even know why I'm crying. Am I detoxing, or am I just emotionally screwed, or what is it? And then it's but I've gone through before and I didn't cry for a year. I couldn't cry. I couldn't feel emotions. It was odd. I was just numb.
Yeah.
And so I think that crying though I think I was starting to feel for the first time in a while again. I don't know. Like when I got to the one place we were, like the third time, I remember laying on the bed listening to like a Ryan Bigham song, and I just laid on that bed and I couldn't not cry for like 45 minutes or an hour. I just laid there and it wasn't like a self-pity, because I remember thinking like, why the hell am I crying? Like, should I not be doing this? And I couldn't help it.
Yeah.
It was like uncontrollable. But yeah, I remember your mindset. You were like, I'm going for 2 weeks. I remember talking to you. And you're like, I'm going for 2 weeks, and then I'm going to do it this way. And you're like, I'm going to do it my way. And then you stayed. You stayed a while.
Yeah. So when I was miserable in my bed there, I think you can never know for sure, but I think in retrospect I was crying. Like I just felt so stuck. It's like I couldn't have what I really wanted was just to be normal, you know? And I knew, like I was backed up against a wall. I was, you know, like either I keep, like I'm here because I don't want to die, but I really don't want to do all this shit. And it just sucked. And then I finally had this moment where I just like begged myself to just like surrender to the program, to what they're telling me to do.
Well, what was normal? Like what you thought your life was 5 years ago?
I mean, I don't know. Just some like nebulous idea of normal, you know. It wasn't like what I think other people are like, you know, like have a job and they like, you know, I don't know what they're really going through. Like I'm happier with going through this and going through all the self-reflection and spirituality and whatever. Like now I'm really grateful, but like at the time I just wish I didn't have to do all this.
Yeah. Well, that's a hard part that they try to tell us in early sobriety. And even though I'd gone through before and have had and doing it again, they try to tell us like we have to slow down and we have to put in the work and we have to do these things. And there's a point though that like I feel like you just eventually kind of break and you calm down a little bit and you're like, all right, fine. I've like if you do some of the work they told you to do, like go to meetings every day, get a sponsor, like do all those simple steps, like it'll get better. Trust me, it'll get better. And it kind of does. Like I kind of got to that point maybe 30-ish days ago where I finally just broke down, was like, all right, I don't need these outlets that I thought I needed, even in sobriety, right? Like not just the use of a drug or alcohol, but like, you know, another person in my life or like I don't know exactly how to explain it, but like I just felt like calm finally all of a sudden. It was like, all right, I'm just going to stay on this path. But I remember you go there, you got out, you go to, you got out of treatment. You didn't go to PHP right away. Yeah. You went to...
I came here.
Oh, yeah.
I came to stay with you for 10 days because I had booked a meditation retreat. So I booked this originally when I was in active addiction. I really didn't want to go to treatment. I just booked like the earliest meditation retreat because it's something I always wanted to do anyway. And I figured like, okay, that'll get me the separation from the drug. And, you know, I wasn't really thinking too far ahead. It was really impulsive, but I had it already booked. I already paid for it. So I was like, okay, this is going to be great. Like I'm 30 days sober. I'm going to hang out with my friend for a little bit. Then I'm going to go to this retreat and I'm going to, you know, practice meditation for a week. And then I'll go to PHP.
Well, I feel like that's like, I want a solution to my problem, but I don't want the solution that they're giving me.
Yeah.
Type of thing, you know, yeah. Like I'll do a meditation retreat. That sounds so much better than AA.
Yeah.
I'll do a meditation retreat. That sounds so much better than going to like doing everything they want you to do and putting in the work and the steps and stuff. I've done that before. When I relapsed after having years, that's all I did was try to find so many solutions other than what worked for me in the first place. That feels like it was so far away, and that wasn't that long ago. That was like a few months ago.
Man.
That was literally like, I guess, less than 90 days ago, right? That was like 2.5 months ago that you went to the meditation retreat.
Oh,
right?
oh yeah.
Yeah. That feels like a lifetime ago. Like, and what's weird is I think about where my head was at that time and to where it's at now. I like, even looking back on that, I felt like I was normal, but I think I was a little crazy.
Yeah. It's wild because you're you're you. It's literally all you know is just how you are and how you see things, and we're constantly changing, and it's really hard to. It can be really hard to get on board, as we've both gone through, like how I was December, beginning of January. Yeah, and then we just keep on changing.
Well, that's where early sobriety you think is like a curse, right? You think it's this, and we talked about it the other day, where you think it's this almost like death sentence, where like I'm never gonna have fun in my life again. I don't know, like I think I know what's right or whatnot. But then you stay sober a little bit longer and you realize like, oh, it's a gift. Like not just sobriety, but early sobriety is kind of a gift, or it is a gift. And you start to learn about yourself a little bit, and you start to go through, that's what I was thinking 90 days ago, and like what I'm thinking today is way different than what, or like I think I was wrong for thinking that, or I know we talked about obsession a lot, like the things I would obsess over 90 days ago, and I still obsess over them today, are not the same. But I still struggle with. I obsess about anything and everything, and what sucks is I'll obsess about something, think it's a really good idea. Maybe that's a delusion that they talk about in AA. And then I wake up the next day or 2 days later and I go, damn, I was so wrong. Or like maybe like I can't believe I obsessed that hard, or I got stuck in almost like a paralyzed trance obsessing over something.
Yeah,
like food, exercise, women, an idea, just tons of stuff. And then I'm like, should I keep this train rolling, or should I, like, not the sobriety train, but like other things that I thought were a good idea. And then I start questioning myself a lot. Like, should I keep this rolling, or was that just an obsessive fleeting thought that came through? And it's like really hard at first, because you really don't know if you're making the right decisions or not.
Yeah.
That's why I like the foundation of some of the stuff in AA, and that's why I surrender to it, which is go to meetings every day. Just do that. Just keep showing up. Yeah, I don't like them all the time. A lot of the time I hate them. Like, I feel like the meeting we're going to go to tonight, I'm probably not going to like. I never like these Wednesday ones, but the Thursday one I like going to, and I've wanted to cancel that coffee commitment sometimes because I feel like it just kind of gets in the way, but I'm not going to. I like going to my 7 a.m.s. They're nice. So like that's what I like, the foundational stuff. If you just keep doing these ones, just keep doing those every day, you'll kind of figure it out.
Yeah. And then it gives you people to talk to as well. So like we know that we're constantly changing. I mean, it helps to have gone through it a few times and have seen mistakes. Like I think that's huge. Not to advocate for relapsing, but then you feel that doubt that you were just talking about. Like you don't know if any of your decisions or your thinking is right. So then you can practice pause and like talk to people, or like actually sit on a decision for a little bit, like do a couple things to kind of give you guardrails against doing things that aren't in your best interest.
Dude, the pause is good, because I want to so many times make a decision right now, right away, and I think that's what I'm supposed to be doing in my life. But I don't think normal people act like that. I think they do take whatever, they're given the gift of pause, like just naturally, where I'm impulsive, or I don't know, but that pause, like even our we'll sleep on it type thing, being like, all right, I'm not going to make that decision. I'm going to sleep on it. Then I'll see if it's the right decision or not. Like I have to question myself like that constantly. And even like at work too, I have to think about it. Like, am I right now? Like, and it's hard. I can't always take a pause there, but I think it'll level out. I think someone said, I listened to something recently, and they're like, oh, you think failure is the opposite of success, but it's not. It's part of it. And like that's just in my day to day. Like what I think is the right decision sometimes isn't the right one, but it's what's guiding me now to making sure I maybe don't make that wrong decision again, or it allows me then to navigate my pauses properly.
Yeah. If you're as long as you're paying attention and you recognize when you're wrong, which is where like 10 step is good. Like you're constantly paying attention to when you do the wrong thing, fix it, and then you update your thinking based on that.
Yeah, the 10 step is good. Well, the steps are cool. Like they really are. I don't think most people understand what they are. And you don't really understand what they are until you do them. That's probably my favorite step though, because it allows me to not hold on to shit or be resentful, right? I immediately make an amends to somebody, and that's tough. But when I start doing an active 10th step, and then I start realizing other people in this world don't do that because maybe they've never been guided to do it, I'm like, I wish I could just pass it on and be like, dude, if you just did this thing, it's called a 10 step.
You don't have to sit in misery for the next week thinking about this thing.
Yeah. And then it like builds up, like it compounds. Like I sit in misery for a week over something. And then a year later, I never like exercised it and like got it out. Right. And then all of a sudden I feel like that emotion is buried somewhere inside of me. And when I make another decision in my life, I have the theory that like it could result back all the way to this decision that I could have just made a year ago.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I agreed with that. Like, I think at bottom, it's all like causes and conditions that we react to. So like you can set something in motion early on, not handle it well, and then what follows is a line of causes and conditions, and that can take you out if you don't handle them correctly.
And when they say that, like taking you out, like the resentments are the number one offender. They are. Like I didn't realize it. It was probably the most true when I first eventually came back from Florida, and I was not in a good spot, and I didn't realize I need to purge so many things that I like so many maybe wrong decisions or bad decisions that I was making that I was holding on to. I was extremely resentful when I didn't think I was, but I really try not to be resentful at all today. And I don't know if I can, I don't know. But it's kind of a cool journey though, these last 4 months. So you get out of the treatment, you go to the meditation retreat, then you go back to a PHP.
Then I go back to PHP.
So like this is a lot in 4 months.
Yeah. And PHP was pretty good. I don't want to share too many details about that, but I ended up being pretty distracted the entire time. Which I mean, I think I handled it well. I was really honest with my therapist and with some other people in the group, with you. And, you know, there was that time I recognized I needed to leave. So I came over here and I met you, got a sponsor that day. Oh, yeah. That was good.
Yeah, I didn't know what you were talking about when you were like, I was on the phone with you, like, I need to leave. And I was like, all right, pack your bags. Like, just move in, dude. And you're like, no, I just need to. I was like, oh, I'm going out to lunch if you want to join. I didn't know that's what you meant with that. I thought you were like, all right, I'm packing my bags and I'm coming there right now. I was like, all right.
Yeah, but I mean, that was, you know, interesting to just watch myself go through it again. And I made it out. And now I have that in my memory.
Isn't it weird to look back on stuff like that?
Yeah.
Like when you're in that moment, you don't think like it's that crazy of a situation. Like you think you're making the right decision. Again, it goes back to that. And then all of a sudden, months go by, you look back and you're like, holy crap, I was kind of insane. Maybe that's the insanity that they talk about, right?
But, well, I think because I'd gone through it the first time around, I was able to see how crazy it was, and that made it even more distressing. You know, it's like I'm having all these crazy thoughts, and I recognize them to be crazy, but they're still coming up, and you just feel like an insane person.
You do, and then you feel like it's going to be like this for the rest of your life.
Yeah,
like how am I ever going to deal with this? If this is just going to be now the like rhythm of my life. It's like I feel okay, and then all of a sudden I feel crazy, and then I feel okay, and I feel crazy. It settles down. It does. But also, I don't totally agree with some of those programs being the way that they are.
Yeah, no, absolutely not.
I think it's fucking nuts to be putting, people in a house together. And I'm just going to say it, of the opposite sex. It's just like, it's kind of nuts. It's like Jersey Shore rehab.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, why am I in a house with the opposite sex when, like, you're telling me I'm not supposed to date anybody. You're telling me I'm not supposed to be having these kind of relationships. I'm supposed to be men with men and women with women. And now you've placed me in a place where I can't even control myself, even though I want to.
Like, you the people who have created the program know that we're in our most vulnerable state, know that we're not, we don't yet have control over our thoughts and our emotions. Like, we need to be able to navigate this scenario that you put us in.
You've added another, like, obstacle to my problem. Like,
yeah.
I that's where I just think money rules those places.
Oh, yeah.
And they can't have two separate homes because more men wind up in those places. So that if they
Right.
had a female one, it wouldn't be full very often.
Yeah, because there are times in that house in particular where there's like 2 women,
Yeah.
maybe 6, and then there's like 15 dudes. So yeah, I mean, like, money, they don't want to turn on the electric in another house, I guess.
And I don't care. Like, no matter what anybody says, if you think you're going to do the right thing while you're in there, if you're going to, say I'm going to follow this program the right way, and you're going to have weak moments. And those weak moments are really powerful. No matter what you, like, because I went through a PHP too where it was Coed, and I think my goal was just to make them hate me. So they wouldn't, like, talk to me, and I think I did a pretty good job. And it also caused problems for me, right? Like, I wasn't, walking around the house so joyous and free all the time because I was, like, kind of watching my back a little bit because I pissed a lot of people off in there.
Yeah.
But I also felt like it kind of helped me survive and get out of it.
Yeah. But you're right, though, because, like, even if you're aware of the risk and you're trying to protect yourself against it, you, like, that still causes another obstacle, like, however you handle it. Like you handled it by making people hate you, so now you're walking around being hated, and that doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
Or you're like, I think I just had a lot of fear, like I don't know when my weak moment's going to come.
Well, it's not just you too; it's the other person too. Like, they're going to act on their weak moments too, and you're like, oh shit, like, I'm feeling pretty good today, and then all of a sudden you become weak, and it's like it's not like day to day either. All of a sudden it could be moment by moment, hour by hour. That you could wake up one way, go to sleep another way, and all of a sudden you're obsessing, thinking about, like, did I make the right decision? Why am I talking to this person? Why am I sitting in the same room as them for 2 hours? I got something else to do. Why am I sitting here with them? Like, I don't think this person likes me. But for some reason, like, I feel something. Like, maybe that it's like I'm getting something out of it by doing it. And, like, that's one thing. Like, I don't even know what the end goal is sometimes with these people, like, or with myself. Like, I don't know, even if I get what I think I want, that I'm going to feel better or a certain way. So,
yeah, and I mean, I don't think there's even that much forethought. Like, it's just like, this feels good right now.
Yeah.
And this is all I know is to go towards pleasure.
Yeah. Or just pleasure, not to feel, I don't know, like, to numb myself a little bit. Because when I went through the other ones where it was all male, I did not have the same problems that the third time that I went through that one program, it was completely different. It was chaos, dude. It was chaos. The first couple times, I didn't love it, right? But all the guys just kind of, even if we didn't get along, like, we didn't walk around feel like we were hated. We kind of went to bed that night. We wake up the next day. We sitting there, like, we just didn't really care so much. We'd go to the next meeting, we kind of work it out, whatever, and then we were kind of chatty throughout the day. But then that third time where I went through and they, commingled the houses, it was all of a sudden I was distracted because I was making sure that, I don't know, that there was peace, even though, and then I think I did a pretty good job distracting myself though a little bit. Like I was cooking constantly.
Mm-hmm.
I was
Working
exercising. Maybe they weren't even good things to do either because I don't know. But, and then I wasn't being honest. And that was a tough one because I was afraid to say what was on my mind because I knew there was going to be backlash back at the house. Right? Like,
right. Because the people you're in group with or the people you're living with, and we don't have, in that house in particular, we didn't have a way of getting away.
At all.
Like we were stuck in there. Like we could sign out after a couple weeks, but then, it's still a whole process of like getting that approved. But otherwise, we're just together all the time. And then we go, if we're going anywhere, we go in a van together, and then we go walk around, all 12 of us, in Giant or Walmart or whatever.
Yeah. I hated that. But it's, like that, yeah, it is. So I feel like it was the toughest one to go through because of that. Like, I don't think I was sure. The only person I thought I could be honest with was maybe my therapist behind closed doors one-on-one. Other than that, if I spoke freely, I was an asshole. If I spoke, what was going on, I wasn't sure if I was really saying it because I wanted to get that out, or I wanted to maybe grab someone's attention to maybe for a little bit of self-pity, or grab someone's attention to think that I agree with them so they don't hate me.
Yeah. That doubt is the worst. It's so for me, it's so paralyzing. Like like I can't recognize my motive for doing something. Like I can't tell if it's wholesome or unwholesome, and then I'm just like,
yeah. Now I felt like probably 70% of my the things I said or my actions in there were because I wanted to agree with somebody so they would kind of leave me alone or not bother me, so I could just get through my 6 weeks. The other 30% were, I spoke pretty freely and whatnot, but then it's weird. It's the therapists or the interns or whatever they were at times or the group leaders were also kind of guided by this umbrella that they weren't allowed to speak up that much. So they, I feel like they could have intervened a lot more and gave us a little bit more of tough love or some hard truth, because it was always like just so concerned about people's feelings and then you get to AA where it's a little bit more of the opposite, where it's like they don't care so much about your feelings. Like, do you want to be sober or do you want me to care about your feelings? And that's why I like AA a lot more than some of these treatment programs. Mm-hmm. I think they're all necessary, I guess. I don't know, because it wasn't like this years ago. This whole multi-program thing from one to the next, and then they kind of let you out. It wasn't like that. It was more, here's a book, start reading it. Like, they used to give us a book in treatment, like an AA book.
They still do that.
Oh, I didn't get one. I guess so.
At least at the ones I've been to.
Okay,
they give you a book.
I didn't get one at the rehab one, too. I guess you're not supposed to say rehab anymore, too. It's treatment center. That's another one. I don't know what that means, so. I took that methylene blue, by the way.
Yeah?
Yeah. My tongue's blue.
Show the camera.
It's blue. So I took it this morning, and I always wanted to see if there was like a placebo effect or if I really felt anything. And I wasn't sure what I was supposed to feel, because after I took it, I was like, ooh, wait, should I not be doing this? What am I looking to feel? And as I was driving to the gym, I was like, is everything greener right now? And I was like, what am I doing? Nothing's greener. And then I'm like looking at the effects. It's not going to make you like high or anything like that, which I didn't think it would. That's why I took it. And then I took it again later to be like, all right, maybe, because I looked up the dosages and all this stuff and watched probably 20 videos on it. I don't know if I feel anything, if it's just a waste of time, but I did always want to try it. But the main thing I wanted was if it does increase ATP.
What's ATP?
It's the energy source of mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of the cell. It's supposed to, I guess, improve energy. I think ATP equals energy. I could be wrong. But, and as a nootropic, if it's supposed to help with brain function but that's always a hard thing to test. Like whenever I've taken a nootropic, like whether it be like, reishi mushrooms or cordyceps or any of that stuff, I'm like, how do I know if it's really working? Or does it have to build up in my system or something like that? Like, I don't know.
Right.
So
yeah. And then, I mean, if it does have to build up, if it's like a slow build, then you're there with all the subtle changes. So you're not, you can't tell.
So then I try to read a book and then see like if I can read faster.
How fast can I read?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm like reading it and I go like, am I comprehending it? Well, I try to go for comprehension to it because sometimes when I read a book, I go, I just read. I have to go back and reread the paragraph, you know. Yeah. But I also think that's practice. I've been listening to more books and reading, so I think that's also just if I'm struggling to comprehend, it's because I haven't practiced, the act of reading. So I think that's also a thing. But I was reading a lot, like even reading this stuff. I don't know if I feel a change or not. I mean, I guess I'll do it for another few days. But then I also have to think I don't know, because I'm not trying to change other things in my life right now. I'm just going to, not diet or anything like that. If I just take this stuff and see if it, I guess, works for whatever works means.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Control your variables.
Yeah. Because if I try to change other things, I don't know. But we'll see. Like, I'll go on a run tomorrow. And if I feel like I feel better on the run, maybe that it's working then. I don't know. But I've also just felt better running lately. So I don't know. Like I ran really well yesterday. And
right. But you have been practicing running.
I have. That's another thing. So I don't know if any of this stuff is real or true or whatnot. I guess I got to look at more like peer-reviewed studies or something like that to try to figure out if it's a hoax or is it really a thing.
Yeah. Or even if the effects are detectable in experience rather than, because if they're probably studying like objectively, like looking at biomarkers or something, but like is it something that you can actually detect within your experience?
The best way I can put it, the only thing that I've been able to actually do in my life that I've noticed actual changes is when I've changed my diet in different ways, right? So if I'm eating like a heavy plant-based diet and I mean like pretty much vegan, like I'm noticing like my energy levels are different. I'm noticing so many different things, digestion, bowel movements, mind, all this stuff. And then I'm eating, processed foods like this, going back to that I'm sluggish. So like the only thing that I've outside of a drug that I've really been able to like, control and notice is change my diet. So I don't know, maybe this stuff will enhance. I don't know, but I guess maybe I was looking for an instantaneous, I don't know, like I think differently things. I don't maybe I was just going to be smarter. I don't know. But I guess not. I don't know.
What's the quadratic equation?
A b squared equals this is my question. Am I going to get the answer and then I know that it's working? B squared equals a minus b squared divided by it's something like that, isn't it? B squared equals a minus b squared divided by b squared again.
Oh no, leave the quadratic formula in the comments.
Yeah. I still don't know what that solves. That solves one of the coordinates, right? That solves the coordinate. Or no, does this solve the slope?
Does it?
Yeah. I forget what the quadratic equation solves. It's either a point, right? Or it's, you have to find it helps you find the other point, or it helps you find the slope, right? Of the 2 points.
I don't know.
All right.
You would know if the methylene blue was working.
God, dude, because I've learned, I've learned it several times. So if the methylene blue was working, it's in that mind somewhere. So if it was working, I would know. Like,
yeah,
I would know that and everything else.
So back to diet. So I know you take this stuff pretty seriously. You have some passion for diet and exercise and the results of those and all that. For me, that's something I've always wanted in my life. I've tried on various occasions throughout active addiction to do that. There was a period when I was doing pretty well, before like unmanageability really took off. But I'm saying this because in group the other day we were talking about procrastination, and this also ties into like the doubt in early recovery of like you're thinking and whatnot. You're not sure whether or not you're making the right choices. So right now, this time around, I'm terrified of adding like a goal into my life too soon. You know, because in the past I've gone like I tend to go like all in for a really short period of time, then just burn out. I just hit the ground within a week or two, whatever I'm trying to do. And I tend to overthink things and whatever. So like diet and exercise is something that I definitely envision being a part of my life moving forward. Good diet and exercise. Of course, I'm going to move and eat. Yeah. And like right now I'm at a point where like something can definitely change. Like I've been talking about going back to work and whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to throw that out there.
So what, when you were saying you at one point had a pretty good diet, what was it?
I mean, just like whole foods.
Okay.
Mostly like I would just like vegetable, meat, and for a while I was substituting carbs for beans, like legumes.
Mm-hmm.
So,
which are half a carb.
Yeah.
Okay, if I go back to the very first time I got sober, we were told to do what you're doing, which is don't worry about diet and exercise right now for the first year. Like it's supposed to go, you go spiritually, mentally, and if you ever get to it, get to the physical part. So like the way that I do it, I struggle. It's just other struggles in my life that I decide to put, the physical, high on there. And I make sure the spiritual and the mental, are still just, they outweigh my pie chart over the physical a little bit. But I don't know, if you go back and you asked my old therapist from years ago, which was Garno, that was his name, Garno. Awesome, love that guy. And but if you go back to him, he would push. You have to fix yourself spiritually. You have to fix yourself mentally. And then after a year, you can get to the physical part. So like the diet and the exercise, you do that later. So like where we were, the only thing I was allowed to do was run 3 miles, I think like 3 days a week. I wasn't allowed to touch a weight. No one was allowed to get a gym membership. No one was allowed to do exercise. Like some of us would do push-ups in the room or whatnot, but most of us gained weight and we just sat there, and that's what we were supposed to do. And then, so if you're saying you're terrified to change because you go all in, like that's very alcoholic mentality is just it's obsession again, right? Like you go in, you just, I'm going to do this 100%. And then you crash out after a couple weeks or whatever. That's a big thing. Well, I think though, if you can stick to the whole foods, right? Like that shouldn't be that difficult if you're just like, I want to eat whole foods.
Well, I mean, I get tied in knots because I overthink things, and like, well, right now it's like where it still requires some amount of discipline. Like where am I going to be or whatever. So if I start going back to work, then, like more than half my day is going to be either in transit or out there. So there would have to be some discipline of like preparing food. That's
the best way to do it. If you really want to be like, all right, I want to stay on a strict diet. And every time I falter from it, like by eating out or like grabbing a quick bite of something that I know could be considered healthy but isn't that healthy, the only way to do it is you have to food prep probably.
Right. But so then that's an extra step.
Yeah.
Right. So there's where I'm not so sure if I want to throw that in just yet.
Like, what do you eat when you're at work then? Like, you eat
Uh,
like the bagel shop across the street, or
halal.
oh yeah. What if you just ate halal every day for like the next year? I mean,
The next year,
yeah.
I would feel like shit.
Well, there's so much that goes into it though, because like I go down all the way to like if I eat halal every day for the next like several weeks or whatever. Now I'm changing my microbiome. Now I'm changing like I overthink shit like a motherfucker.
And so I'm like trying to not do all that just yet. So,
but you do want to.
I don't know. Yeah, I do want to at some point, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know if right now is the right time. You know, I'll go back to work whenever I go back to work, and then I'll see what that's like, and then I'll throw something else in. But yeah,
yeah, that's a tough one. When you make the change to go back to work, then you're gonna have to go. All right, well, now I kind of know how many hours I have in a day to maybe then if I want to food prep for the week. That's why I make like my food for 5 days in advance, because I don't want to have what I consider a weak moment and like slip off to Wawa and eat a hoagie several times in the week, because I have this weird fear of like if I go and do that, then all of a sudden I'm going to do it for the next 3 days,
right?
And then I'm going to eat like crap, and then I'm going to justify that I can do this once a day, and all of a sudden it's 3 times a day that I've slipped off to go to like a different shop to eat food. So I just try to have, I don't know, my food prepped and with me at all times.
Yeah, but so you can relate to that, like not wanting to add stuff in too soon. Is there anything that you're withholding?
Yeah, relationships.
Oh yeah.
That's the biggest one. And that's really tough, because every time I think that I'm like, oh, I could, or I meet a pretty girl or something like that, I'm like, oh, I could have a relationship. Stopping that one is difficult. Actually, it's been easier because I kind of have this like preset mindset that I go to right away right now, and and it's not good. Maybe I should change this, but it goes to making myself kind of feel like a piece of crap, which is not that good. It goes to, I'm not where I want to be in life right now, which is a good thing maybe, because there's a yin and yang to it. Then I can work towards going where I want to be, where I feel like I'll, deserving of, being in a relationship. And then it goes to, well, I'm also told not to do this right now. And then I jump ahead a few weeks or a few months and go, could I even sustain a relationship right now in my life? So like it jumps to those three. Like I'm not where I want to be. I'm told I'm not supposed to be. And is it sustainable? Like, is a relationship in my life right now sustainable is the huge one. And it's probably not.
And that's been working.
Yeah.
Cause I've known, like, it's hard to turn. Well, I mean, like, I don't think it's possible to like turn it off necessarily, like wanting connection, or like if you see someone you're attracted to, and if you're prone to obsession, like that's going to happen. But so like invoking those thoughts, that seems to kind of ground you a little bit, and then you can redirect your attention.
Yeah, but then a fear comes over me a little bit, going, well, when will I ever feel like I'm enough?
Yeah.
Right? And that's where God comes in, I guess. That's where he comes in a little bit, and I think, well, when it's supposed to happen, it'll happen type thing. And I know that's a cliche thing or whatever, where people are like, when things are supposed to happen, they'll happen or whatnot. But I also now I'm like, well, I got to develop a relationship with myself, and I got to develop one with my higher power, because my life is so much calmer and nicer and better when I do that. And that's really, I guess, what I'm working on at the moment. And that kind of helps. Maybe that's another preset that I have in there. It's like, have you done enough for, your relationship with God today? Have you done enough for helping another person out today? And that one's tough, because I usually, there's a no often with that one. Like, I prayed. Did I call another alcoholic today? Like, and ask them how they're doing? I did, actually. Like, I called that guy John. And, but yeah, that's because fear creeps in every time on that. Well, like, oh, well, if you're not enough now, when are you going to be enough? Why don't you think you deserve this now? Are you ever going to feel like you're deserving? You know, like I met that woman before the race, and it's like my mind goes right to like, well, if I don't act now, then I'll lose the possibility of her hanging out with this person. But then it jumps right away again to, I have the fear of like, I don't want to feel like a loser if I go hang out with this person and then it doesn't work out, right? Then I'm just back to, well, it didn't work out because I'm a piece of crap. Like it sucks that it goes right there right now. But then it also is like, well, maybe if I think it's going to go there, then maybe I'm not ready to do it again or yet. I don't know.
Yeah, it sounds like it could potentially, or it is taking you to a negative place. But then when you said you bring in like the spiritual part, then you're practicing like the acceptance and letting go, like those principles, like it'll happen when it happens. And
well, I'm afraid that if I keep these presets up, that they're going to get so ingrained. I'm afraid of that too.
Oh yeah, and then you're just going to think that forever.
Yeah, so I'm afraid of that too. But then I also go, oh no, I've broken through these. I've broken through other presets before that I've made in my mind. So like I'll be fine. But the spirituality part is good. If I just, the let go and that God part is really nice at times when I just go, all right, well then, whatever. Like just let go and let God, and I go through my day. Like I think some of the thoughts that I'm having right now are old presets that I've set up in my mind that I must be in a relationship or I must be doing these things that other people do. So those are actually, I think, old presets that I've set up that are now still kind of driving some fear in me. So just let go. Like, just do what I had to do today. I woke up, I exercised, I came here, I took that methylene blue, and then we'll probably eat after this, and then go to a meeting, and it's like, that's all I was supposed to do today. Like, why isn't that enough for me right now? And I told myself, a little while ago that that's all I'm supposed to be doing for a little while. So I'm actually doing exactly why am I trying to add any more to it?
Mm-hmm.
It's because I want more, or maybe there's something else going on, because I don't feel this every day, right? Like some days I feel like I'm very peaceful, and I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to do, and I'm proud that I did it, and I'm happy that I did it. And then it jumps at me again, where I'm like, oh man, but it'd be much nicer if I could, if someone wanted me right now,
Yeah.
that, because, and then I think through that, like, well, if someone wants me, that little like jolt of like, oh wow, like it's a high spike.
Yeah. Feels good.
Yeah. And that, like, not a normal spike. It's like and then I have to like be wary of that and be like, oh my God, that was way too high of a dopamine spike in my brain right now. Like, to feel that type of wanted. So yeah, I don't know. But if there's other things that I'm supposed to stay away from, if it was just outside of relationships, I don't know. Like I've tried to think about this. Like maybe I shouldn't be traveling right now or things like that. Maybe I shouldn't be trying to put too much on my plate at the moment. Like I shouldn't try to grab 1,000 hobbies because I want to, I really do want to learn a different language, but maybe I shouldn't be doing that. The piano thing, I mean, I did that for a few months, and it's like, that was kind of a lot. It was a little too much. But I learned that I was getting real tired, and then trying to be like, well, now if I don't practice every single day, then I feel like I'm not going to advance, and I'm not going to do this. So maybe other than relationships, it's just don't put too much on my plate right now, and just let them gradually come.
Yeah, and that's tough because we start feeling good, and then we have all these aspirations and whatever. But I guess that's where like the spiritual component of the program is really strong, and why you should focus on that first, because you're supposed to kind of surrender to a higher power and let things unfold. And if you can actually do that, then things get easier.
Yeah, and they do. Like I want stuff instantaneously, right? Like I do, and when I don't get them, again though, because I have done this before, like if I don't get what I want instantaneously, I question myself over and over again. But then maybe a few days go by and I go, oh, thank God I didn't get that, because if I would have gotten it, I think I'd feel chaotic. So like everything goes to like, is this going to make me feel chaotic or not?
Yeah.
But that's where like I gotta grab a sponsee. I think that would be really helpful. That would take my mind off of things, or it would, I think, just also help guide me to go, I just told this person to do something, or I just helped guide them make a decision, but I should be making that decision probably for myself too, type of stuff. So yeah, I don't know. It's I think that's the only other hobby I should probably grab is helping another person go through the steps.
Yeah.
Like that's a hobby enough. Like I've always wanted to help people in my life. Why am I not doing it when I have the greatest opportunity in the world to do it? Is just step into the rooms of AA. There's always someone who needs some help, and I needed help a lot, and other people helped me. Yeah. So like I do want to grab so many hobbies right now. Like I want to fill my day so much, and that's another thing is I am just a go type of person, and it's hard for me to slow down. Maybe I should practice that a little bit. Maybe I should slow down a little bit, because if I don't conquer it now, I'm afraid that it'll consume me.
Yeah. And I mean you know that I like meditation.
Yeah.
That's been my main spiritual practice. I've been throwing myself into that in early recovery. And what I like about that, although it's kind of a long process, like it is like it can be like an actual practice of like letting go and letting things unfold, accepting, surrendering, like at a, I don't know, like a mechanical level, I want to say, like you're actually doing it in your brain rather than just like knowing I need to let this thing go, but I have no idea how to do that. Even if it's not like the main object you need to let go of, like you can do it in like these subtle areas of just like letting go of a thought,
like a passing thought,
like a passing thought, and then kind of build that skill up.
That's a weird one too, because meditation is like, you step into it thinking that you don't really know what you're trying to do. Kind of, you're trying to maybe calm your mind. You're trying to maybe find some peace, and then you're faced with a lot of thoughts that come through.
Yeah,
and that's an odd one because like when I sit down to meditate, I think my goal years ago when I was doing it really consistently every single day, I don't know what my objective was completely. Like is there an objective to meditation? Like,
well, it tends to be like paradoxical. So it depends on what you're practicing. So it's lately I've been. I felt kind of scattered, like I was trying a bunch of different things, and then so I decided to just focus on like one teacher, this guy named Adyashanti, and so you can have a goal. So he has his own way of teaching. He teaches non-dual practice, which compared to a dualistic practice such as Vipassana. Vipassana is what's considered more popularly like mindfulness meditation. So in mindfulness meditation, like in Vipassana meditation, the goal is to pay attention to whatever's happening and be non-judgmental about it, and just notice as much as you can without doing much. But there's and then the goal is to recognize impermanence and recognize the feeling of unsatisfactoriness, which is like craving or aversion to something, because we tend to like go towards pleasure or run away from pain or whatever, and that's the goal. But you're still like it's me, the meditator, like doing this thing. Like I'm in my head, pointing my attention towards these different things. And then with non-dual practice, you eventually like transcend the technique and kind of become that awareness. Like the concept of self and ego like drops out, and it's no longer like you, the meditator, doing meditation. It's just you're just awareness. And
so you start out with the one and then you get to the other, or can you start out with? Does it matter which one you start with?
I mean, it doesn't really. Some of the teachers that I like, they can complain about Vipassana meditation being like much harder to get to that state of just being awareness, where the self drops out and you're just there in as awareness. And the way that they describe it is like, so we have like our senses. You see things, you feel things, taste things, you think things, like thoughts come by, you have your beliefs and all these things. So those in aggregate, your brain takes those things and creates a perception of like being a self, being like an actor in the world, like you, like they're all like, this is you, this is me, I'm Matt, I, feel this chair right now, and
so everything is mindfulness, like,
yeah, and I think these thoughts are mine. I'm authoring these thoughts. I believe this and I believe that. But when you pay closer attention, you realize these things are just kind of coming up on their own. Like there's no one, they're all like separate, and your brain kind of binds them all together into this feeling that we have of being a person. But when you pay closer attention, they're all just kind of automatically happening, and they're discrete things, and the feeling of being a self kind of drops out. And those things are all basically the content of awareness. Like those are the things that come up within awareness. But if you turn attention on itself, and then you can just kind of rest as awareness and see these things as content within that larger space.
All right. So when I was doing, like, if I can relate to this, when I was doing meditation, like consistently, it was, what I did notice was kind of, there were some days where I could just kind of melt into it and just be like, oh, I feel very calm. And I would do a lot of mantras, like, my life is filled with gratitude. For that, I am grateful. My life is, just something over and over again for 15 or 20 minutes. And I was able some days just just melt into this. And then I would just open my eyes slowly and be like, oh, this is nice, right? Like, and I kind of feel my hands a little bit and whatnot, and the day was calmer. As I continued to do it, that compounded too, where I just was very calm, or able to do things, or I wasn't always calm throughout the rest of my day. But when I stopped doing it is when I noticed a lot of fears starting to come back up, a lot of like chaos starting to come back up, a lot of just angst coming back up. And then the hardest part was trying to go back into a meditation practice and try to get back right into it, and trying to like now look for a little bit of relief. And that was kind of a scary moment for me, because I remember and this was all when I was sober initially for years, and I'd have that. And then I was like, oh my God, I can never miss another day of meditation again. I have to do this, or I'm afraid that these feelings are going to come back up. So I was kind of trying to push them down a little bit, or just be aware of them. But I was, once I started to become aware of, if I'm not meditating, these things are coming back up, I was very scared again. And then, but I also stopped going to AA. I stopped having a God in my life. I was putting so many other things first, right? And then I looked for relief. I looked for relief that I was getting for years through this meditation practice. And And since I couldn't just step back into the meditation the way that I had been in it for years, I looked for relief elsewhere. And that kind of scared me. So it's like, a meditation scares me a little bit in a sense of like, all right, I'd like to do it, but I don't think I would do it the same way I did last time. Like, I think it would be more of just a little bit shorter. And I don't know. I think I would I think I would be more accepting of myself in the meditation, being like, all right, now I'm going to use it and just know that it may not be the best that it was yesterday or a few days ago, because I am back on the 11th and 12th step, right? So like now this is where I say I can put meditation back in my life if I follow the steps in order, right? And I go, 11th is the meditation step. I can start doing it again, I think. And like, I know that sounds silly. I could have done it before, right? But the other ones are more of a prayer steps. And, but after reading like that book again, I Love Myself Love Yourself Like Your Life Depends on It. His meditation is like, and his meditation is kind of short. And where I think I said to you, when I read that book, I said, oh, I didn't read it, even though I had it for weeks. I read it when I was supposed to read it. Because when I opened it up, it kind of gave me that answer to what I'm saying right now was, oh, I don't need to go into this deep meditation that I thought I was going into before. I can just do, he does like 7 minutes or something. And it's 7 minutes of, I love myself, I love myself, I love myself over and over again. And then he looks in the mirror for like 4 minutes and he just kind of makes eye contact with himself and repeats over and over again that mantra of I love myself. And I think that could just be enough. And like, that's a simple practice that I could just jump into, because I'm afraid if I go back into like anything else I do in my life where I start with one thing and then I think I get better at it. And then if I don't stay at this level up here, then I'm not doing it. Even though if I go back to the groundwork of where it started, I was kind of happy here. Right. Mm-hmm. So it's like, if I run, when I was running 3 to 5 miles, it was like, oh man, this is great. It's enough. And now I'm like able to run 10 miles every time I run. And now I'm afraid if I go back down to 6 miles, I'm a piece of crap. Like, it's weird. So then I'm aware that anything I do in my life, just like, what is enough? And I relate it to the meditation a lot, going like, oh man, I meditated for 30 minutes yesterday. Now I have to meditate for 30 minutes every day,
Yeah, I definitely get that. But that, I mean, it is part of the practice of like, it is part of the practice when you sit down and basically start from the beginning, like every time you sit down. Like, not yesterday was 30 minutes and yesterday I was able to get really relaxed or whatever. This is a new one. This is a new experience. It's about being open to every experience.
That's what I need.
Good or bad, relaxed or tense. It doesn't matter what the experience is. It's just opening to all the experiences.
No, I like that today's a new experience.
Yeah.
Because that's a problem for me, is I must then have done steps, like the 4 steps I took yesterday, I got to follow those 4 steps. No, I like that. That's a good way to look at it. Well, today's a new experience. Like, what I did yesterday is what I did yesterday. Today's a new experience. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good way to probably look at meditation, instead of, because then all of a sudden meditation becomes stressful. If I didn't do it for like 30 minutes, or if I didn't do it for X amount of time, or the same one, or different, like, I kind of felt like I was failing at it.
Yeah. And so then within like the Vipassana tradition, you would then just like take that as the object, like that stress, and just look at that stress as your object of meditation. Like, if that's what's coming up, then you just pay attention to the stress.
It's weird, because then when I start to feel a little bit of that stress, I kind of jump to like caffeine or something, where like, I know it kind of sounds like fucked up, but like, then I jump to, well, I'm just going to go try to change the way I feel a little bit then. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to shoot down like 2 cups of coffee or something. And I wasn't aware of that though back then. Like, now I'm more of aware of it, that like, whoa, before I just make a decision, let me think about the decision I'm about to make. Do I really need this other thing? Or what if I just sat here for 5 extra minutes? Like, what if I just did that? Or it's not a big deal if I just don't do it today. Like, I don't like that one. If I just don't do it the way that I did yesterday, it's kind of that obsession is back again, right? And then it's just constant battle, and being aware of that constant battle, sometimes you just pump the brakes and pause and be like, whoa, chill out. And like, that extra 30 seconds or a minute and 30 seconds, just go, what are you doing right? Do you see that you've just put yourself in a knot? Like, that is a tough one, especially in like this fast moving life that I choose to put myself in. To slow myself down, maybe I need to go back to that type of meditation, because, or just a form of meditation practice, because I'll go from one thing to the next thing, and as I'm doing one thing, I'm already thinking about the next thing, and that's a struggle for me all the time. As I'm eating one meal, I'm thinking about what I'm going to eat in 3 hours. As I'm running, I'm thinking about what I'm going to do to run tomorrow. And it's like, geez, that mindfulness, like at that one meeting we were in with where were we? They were talking about mindfulness. Oh, it was Dharma, and I hated that meeting.
Yeah,
but I love the thing in AA to, no matter what AA meeting you go to, just always try to take one thing from it. Even though I will never go back to that one meeting that we went to, the Dharma meeting. I don't think I will, at least. I shouldn't say I never, but I took that out of that meeting. Like, that's what I need to hear was, as I'm doing something, be mindful of what I'm doing. Like talking about your senses, like your hands, your like touch, smell, feel, whatever. Be mindful as I'm doing it, because my mind races.
Yeah.
And meditation, maybe I should. It's almost like a form of a. Is it what step is it? It's part of the 10th step, like an inventory. Like, I can sit in that mindfulness a little bit and be like, did I do what I was supposed to do today? Did I harm anybody? Like, meditation help. Like, maybe I need to slow down a little bit again, because I don't realize sometimes how sped up I am.
Yeah.
And the decisions I'm making are maybe right or wrong. It's tough.
It is tough.
And I think
it's human nature to do that.
Yeah, and like that's where these, again, going back to like these last 4 months, like, which is awesome. We're on this journey together, like pretty much within days of each other, right? And these last 4 months have been like so many ups and downs, like emotionally for me. And I handle them pretty well, but other times I don't. I get stuck for a day or two, and that sucks. We're just like, I feel like crap. Yesterday I felt fantastic. You ever see Nacho Libre? Have you ever seen that movie? Oh my God, where he's like, do you know what that movie's about?
Is Jack Black, he's a wrestler?
Yeah, he's a wrestler.
Or something?
He's a wrestler who's like a monk or like a priest. He's a priest, I think.
Okay.
And but he wants, like, his dream, I could be getting this wrong, but his dream is to be a wrestler. and he's in love with the nun. But he's like, the one saying, I should try to find it. But it's like, he's like, every day I get to wake up at 5 a.m. and I eat a bowl of soup. And it's like, it sounds like a crappy way of life. But he's like, I do nothing and I eat a bowl of soup and it's fantastic. Fantastic. And the way he says it is so funny. That movie's good. And his dream is to become a Mexican wrestler.
Yeah.
We should watch that too. You're ridiculous with movies. I know I just jumped off on a tangent off of that, but I don't even remember what we were talking about with that. But
yeah,
if we segue to movies, you have a list of movies that I wish I never saw because they're so good, and you have that gift now to be able to watch all these movies that you never saw. Inglourious Bastards, you've never seen it. Such a good movie. That's one of my favorite movies ever. That's so good.
Never seen it.
You know what I used to do though, and I like bringing back to meditation and like bettering myself and my mind. In those first couple of years, years ago, sobriety, I was constantly watching or just trying to take in as many books as I could, as many documentaries as I could. But again, that got crazy too, because I was like, oh man, if I'm not reading another book right now, if I'm not watching another documentary on how to like better myself, what am I doing? And I remember like being like, I've read them all. I've watched them all. And then it kind of got to a point where I was like, well, shoot, what do I do now? Do I reread the other ones I'm doing? Well, I've already read them. So then it became, I was just trying to consume.
Yeah. So then that becomes like another form of escape, because you don't like the way it feels to have like a self-help book that you haven't read or something, or to be sitting there and there's this other book out there that you want to read, or like just to feel like you're not doing something better for yourself. So then to escape that pain of not feeling good, then you pick up another book and it becomes this like endless race.
Yeah, it's just now it became more about consumption other than actually just taking what I read and trying to enter it into my daily life. So then it just like I wasn't completely aware of it. And then the ego came into play a little bit where I was like, well, since I'm reading these books, I must tell other people that I'm doing this. And that's where I feel like I owe a lot of apologies. But as I felt like I was kind of an asshole for doing it. And then I changed my way of eating, and then my way of life was different. And then I wouldn't steer away from it. And fear would come back if I steered away from it a little bit. My other fears that I had never dealt with, my insecurities and such, are going to flare back up. And I don't know how to deal with that. I don't know how to deal with it if I put on a few pounds. I don't know how to deal with it if I'm not constantly living this life that in my head I created. And that's, again, where I probably should go back to a meditation practice and just take those few minutes. And I can do it. The only reason I'm not doing it is because I'm choosing not to. Like, that's the bottom line. It's not because I don't have the time. I can find the time, you know?
It can be, but when I go through periods of not meditating, I get this like fear to sit down and meditate. Like, oh my God, what shit is brewing in my head that is going to come up right now? But then I also I just want to say one thing. In the new teacher I've been exploring, like one of the first lines in his course or whatever is like, meditation is only valuable to the extent that you bring it into your life. Because it's one thing to be like sitting on a cushion and having a great experience or whatever, getting whatever insights you have. But if you can't bring that into your day-to-day life, then it's worthless. And that's the great thing about meditation too, is that like it doesn't have to be, it's not like exclusive to sitting on a cushion. Like it's all in your mind, stuff that you're doing with your mind that is perfectly transferable to the real world.
Yeah, maybe that's what I do, because I used to shut it off. When I'd finish meditating, I remember I'd sit in Florida, right? I'd meditate, I'd get up, I would go to the exact same spot every day, which I loved. I loved that discipline and that consistency.
Ritual's nice, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it was. I'd go to that. I'd lean against the couch. And I used to also think that I wasn't supposed to be leaning against the couch. I needed to sit in cross-leg position.
Full lotus.
Yeah, and I was doing it wrong if I was using a crutch of a couch. And I was like, what am I doing? Like, I remember being like, dude, just lean against a couch or a wall, man, you're fine. But I would go through it, and then I'd turn it off, and I would just jump up and be like, oh, all right, I did that. I did it for the day. Then it became a task. Yeah, I checked the box. And that wasn't good either. And then I wasn't really I wasn't taking it with me in my day-to-day. Sometimes I would. I shouldn't say I wasn't, because some of the mantras were good, and I would take them throughout the day with me. Mm-hmm. And it was a good, I would remind myself, like, well, why you, like, slow down. You're great. You should be grateful right now. Like, right now you're not feeling very grateful. Like,
yeah.
Why are you doing this?
And that's great, because then like negative feelings become like a mindfulness alarm, where like you feel that, and then it reminds you like to either be grateful and to say your mantra, or to just pay attention again and kind of reset, and that's it in your daily life.
You know, it's crazy. I listen to the same 10 mantras for probably 3 years. And cool. The only one I can remember is, my life is filled with blessings, so I am grateful. My life is filled with blessings, and I am grateful. That's the only one that I can remember, and I've listened to these same ones over. And it was by Boho Beautiful. She's awesome. I love that girl. And I don't know her, but I love her. But then I also, I don't know, man. I look back on those times, and I think I kind of was using it incorrectly at times, and and then I would tell people that I was doing it, and just to like kind of like gain a little bit of like almost superiority. Like, well, I do this every day. I wake up at 5 a.m. and I make sure I meditate first, and then I go through my practice, and I don't think people care. But, but in my mind, I wanted to make sure that people knew that I was doing this. And then I was going to yoga like several times a week. For a couple of years, I was doing that. And I wanted to tell people I was doing that too. And then it was like, oh man, what are my motives now when I'm doing this? And that's another thing that meditation did help me when I know I'm speaking kind of ill about it, but meditation did help me a lot. I was a lot calmer, I felt like. But I'd always have to question my motives all of a sudden, being like, why am I doing this? Am I doing this just so I can tell people that I did it today? Or like, am I doing it because it makes me feel calmer? Or am I doing it because I want like the girlfriend at the time to walk into the room to see that I'm a meditator? Like, I would really think about that, And like, do I look cool doing this? Do I look like an awesome guy? Like I was constantly questioning it.
So in this course I'm taking with that Adyashanti guy, one of the first like in the there's like a text to read through, like how to use this course, what, like one of those things. It says, before you take it, write down what you want to get out of it, and let that guide you. Like, sit down and put that intention in your mind before you start. And
that's good. I like that. I should do that before I'll start meditating in today or tomorrow, whatever it is. I like to do it in the morning, but that's a good thing to do, because even like the situation that we're in right now, what do we want out of it? Like, I felt like I was kind of asking that question in a way, before, living here and doing all this, like, and I still kind of have to do that through my day-to-day, is like, what is my motive before I go into any situation? Like, yeah. Because if I don't have a motive, not just meditation, obviously everything I do in my life, like, what is my motive? A lot of the time it's selfish as hell, right? Like, I want to do this so I will appeal to the opposite sex. I want to do this so I will feel grandiose. I want to do it. And it's like, a lot of that happens sometimes, and that's not good, like, or even like if I drank a third cup of coffee in the morning before I go to the gym, like, what's my motive when I do that? Like, I have to question that all the time. So maybe when I start my meditation, what are my motives when I do it? And if I go back to years ago when I started doing it, I kind of had that. My thing was, when I woke up in the morning, my thoughts jumped on me all the time, and they were usually filled with fear and racing thoughts. And so my motive back then was, calm the thoughts. Calm yourself down before you make any decisions today. And that, looking back, and I think that was my initial guide going into meditation years ago, was calm yourself down, because your first thoughts when you wake up are your worst thoughts. They're not your best ones. So yeah, maybe I should go into meditation with a motive.
Yeah.
What are your motives?
For me, it's I want to understand like the nature of mind more.
Of your mind?
Of my mind, of the human mind. Well, it's all I can get into is my own mind. But like I want a deeper understanding of the nature of mind and truth, like the truth of experience, because our default mode is like our like discursive thought. We're just captured, lost in thought, and then we develop these beliefs and these perspectives and all that. And like, what's beneath that? If you just like drop down beneath that stops meaning anything. Get out of conceptual thinking and kind of just have like the stream of experience. What's there? Like, I want to know that, and I want to be able to take it into my life. I have some faith that like in doing that, I'll become a better person and better able to serve, other people, higher power, etc. And in regard to the higher power, like, I think right now my conception of it at the moment is like nature of reality, like the way that things are, and it could be that there's like intelligent design or something. I don't know. I'm agnostic about that.
If there's a great architect.
Yeah. I'm agnostic there because I haven't seen any evidence that I understand about that, and I think it's fine for me to not just jump to conclusions about that. But if there is, whether it's an act of randomness or an act of God, like there are truths about reality and our mind that can be understood, and it's in acting in accordance with them that I believe that you live well. Like resentments come up when you're being selfish and egocentric, and you're not really accepting things for the way they are. You're either trying to control people, or viewing yourself as a self who can like act on the world when really there's things are just like kind of rolling out, either as an act of randomness or an act of God. And like I can't will myself to feel joy as a result of resentment, right? Resentment sucks.
Have you tried to practice this though? You know what I mean? Like, have you tried to test it to be like, all right, if there's a God, allow this to happen. Or if there's a God, like sometimes it's tough to be like, I want this done in this moment, but what about, and I'm not saying I'm not trying to convince you of a God or anything, because
Sure.
I don't know either. I have no idea. I just feel a little bit better if I believe there is one.
Okay.
You know? But what if you go, okay, these last 4 months have been what they are. Where I was 5 months ago is different than where I was 4 months ago, right? Like maybe that is the answer.
It could be, but it doesn't register as the answer for me. Like,
Yeah, what would help that register?
I don't know, some like
Tangible something?
I guess so. Like something that I can like logically understand. Like this is for sure. There's no other explanation than there's a God, and I don't. Yeah, and I don't think that's possible. So like,
oh,
but I think it's fine. Like I think you can still do. Like I'll say that if there is a God, then he's created these rules of life. Like our mind works in certain ways. Things feel unpleasant. Resentment feels unpleasant. So don't act in ways that cause resentments.
Yeah, well, that's where I think, we've seen shows or stories or where, years later God goes, you silly goose, like this. That's exactly what was happening in that time. Like I was there right then. You just couldn't see it because you wanted me to appear in front of you and say, I'm here. This is why you're doing it, right? Like that whole story of the guy drowning in the water, right? This story where the guy goes, God, please send something to save me. And it's like, oh, we send a boat, then we send a ship, then we send a helicopter, whatever that story is.
He's like, no, God's going to save me.
Yeah, God's going to save me. He's like, dude, I sent 3 different things to save you, right? And in the moment, you're like, oh, like I wanted you, God, like to come down and to save.
Yeah, but I don't.
Would you believe it was God though if he really showed up?
I don't know, and that's the thing where I think it's not that important to think about. Like just like take if God sent somebody to save me from drowning, like, and I accept that, then I can still be grateful, and I can pray, like, thank you, God, if you're there for sending this person. But like that's still not an obvious. It's not obviously God. You know what I mean?
It's tough. Yeah.
So like I just don't think it's necessary to have that belief, but I think you can still act in the ways of like as if he was there, whether or not it like registers as like a full belief for me.
Yeah, maybe God's not obvious.
Yeah.
But we also want we want God to turn the water into the wine because we're watching The Chosen right now, right?
Yeah.
So we want God to turn the water into the wine, right? And we go, oh, okay, that's God. We want God
or
to
into coffee or something.
Yeah, because we can't do that. God, don't do that for us, please. God, don't relapse me. But like, Yeah, just check your water to see if it was coffee. Like that's the thing though. It's like we want like those stories, those miracles that they are in, the Bible and in that show we're watching right now. Those are pretty obvious ones, right? Like even though when Jesus turned that water into the wine, he went in there by himself in the show. He didn't let anybody else see it. They only saw the after.
Yeah, and also with the paralytic, it was behind closed doors.
Yeah, I didn't like that. I wanted him to do it in front of everybody, He did put the fish into the net in front of people, and he did cure the leopard in front of people.
Yeah.
But those are pretty obvious ones, right? And that's what turns a seer into a believer, right? Like, but why does it have to be so grandiose? That's where like the law of attraction comes in, right? Like God may work through the law of attraction. I remember when I read that book, The Secret, and then I started to practice some of those things that they talked about. Like I remember doing this. I said, I'm going to get, it told me, you want a parking spot in front of your school? Tell yourself you're going to get a parking spot in front of your school. When it's a crowded parking lot, you never get a parking spot right in the front, like right in the front row. I practiced it. I fucking got a parking spot every single day that I did it. It was for like 7 or 10 days, but I still didn't believe. Mm-hmm. I thought as I went there, I was going, I'm going to get a parking spot right in the front. Someone pulls out, I get a parking spot. I go, I still don't believe it, dude. This is just a coincidence. And I did it again. I went, oh my God, it happened again.
Yeah, but are you just noticing that
maybe
the times when it does work and not the times when it doesn't?
No, it was working like every time.
Yeah, I know, but like in other areas, like, God, please get me a free coffee.
Should we try?
I go to Starbucks.
Should we try, dude?
And then it doesn't happen.
All of a sudden, we just show up. Well, that's the weird thing. I know they get free coffee out sometimes. Like, Wawa, dude. We're going to show up and be like, God. And then we're going to walk out and we're going to see the sign, like, free coffee on Tuesdays or something like that. And we're going to either interpret it as that was the answer, or we're going to think, oh, man, this is just a coincidence,
But I mean, yeah. But in either case, if there's a God, He made me this way, and He made me analytical, and I need evidence. So, I don't know. It's fine. I can still do the things, and whether He's there or not, I can still do all the things.
Yeah, that's tough for me too, because He's given me that, I guess what they call free will and whatnot, where I am an analytical person. I'm a logical person.
Well, we differ there. I don't believe in free will.
Do you believe in fate, or do you believe in destiny, or what do you mean then?
I don't know. There might be an act of randomness, but no, I think it's just we're reacting to causes and conditions. That's all it is. We just react.
Well, what is free will?
I guess it's like this, you have this, there's this person in you or something that is able to act despite whatever's going on in your brain or
we have freedom of choice, right?
I don't know, do we? I mean, look.
Wait, you don't believe we have free will?
No.
Well, now I don't know, what free will is then. Because I feel like I wake up each morning and I have a choice if what I want to do, kind of. There's parameters, that I've set on myself that I think are different than parameters as someone who lives in the village of Africa, right? But
yeah, but I don't know. Where did that choice come from? Where did your decision come from? If you just look closer and closer, you didn't really choose it. If you have a choice between broccoli or ice cream, you're probably going to choose. I mean, it depends.
Lately, I've been choosing broccoli.
Yeah,
but
lately you're choosing broccoli, but that's because you have this drive to be healthy. But where did that come from? You're choosing the broccoli because you already have this drive, but where did that drive come from? You can always
insecurity or fear.
You can always step back, and then where did that insecurity or fear come from? Well, it came from whatever, maybe how you grew up or whatever that you didn't have control over.
Well,
and then
okay, what's the opposite of free will?
Well, I guess there's a couple schools of thought. There's determinism.
The hell is that?
That's that things are already predetermined.
Oh, predestination?
I guess so. But I don't know. There might be like I don't know how to know for sure whether determinism is real. Like there might be there might be like some randomness in here as well.
Well, that's like, I think predestination, right? Is like our lives are already preset for a destination, and everything that happens in between is supposed to have already happened.
Okay.
Right? Like, so even what we're doing right now, I think that I have free will, but I truly don't. Like this story that is Frank is already predetermined, right? Mm-hmm. So it's already set out. So even though I think that I have this free will right now, I don't. The decisions I'm making are, I think they're mine, but they're really not.
And, or like, even if you like believe in like a soul or something, like if God gave you a soul, you still didn't choose that soul. It's just a matter of luck that you don't have the soul of a psychopath or a serial killer.
Yeah, that's like a mental illness and such. Like that one's tough, but that's like, I don't know, man. I don't think I'm a psychopath or a killer or anything. So I don't know how their mind works. You know, that one.
Like I think that they're just very unlucky people to have been born into whatever situation they were into that caused them that, born with schizophrenia or however, whatever it is.
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah, because like maybe that's like they're just like a bad computer program, like, and they got a virus or something, right? And they can't, like, they were programmed wrong or something.
Yeah. Exactly, and we're just lucky that we were programmed this way. And so, but like one of the good things that can come from that perspective is like resentment and hatred don't really make any sense from that point of view. Like it doesn't make sense to like hate somebody because they're just playing out helplessly how they're playing out.
Yes. Okay. So there are like some big factors in that. Like there is those who really have an issue like that. But then I think there's others though that just play in like to a victim mentality, and they stay in this self-pity because it feels really good. Because,
sure.
You know, right? And they know how to operate in it, right? But I also believe that I've been there before in my life, and I'm able to recognize it, break away from it, and now I don't live in a self-pity, right? I'm sure I do it. I definitely do at times still live in some kind of self-pity, or live in some resentment. But then going through like the process that we're going through, which is, I believe, again, a gift, early sobriety, we get to start to recognize that. Like that's where early sobriety or all of sobriety is this gift that we get to go through. Recognizing our resentments. We get to go through, recognize like, oh God, I was selfish. I didn't even realize it. And get to go through that process. Right.
Yeah. We're lucky to have come upon that. Like you're calling it a gift. And I agree. Like we get this gift of early sobriety where we get to be surrounded by good people who are now influencing us.
Yeah. If you choose to allow yourself to go through it. Because that's another one. It's like,
I guess so, but like, I mean, you can't choose whether or not you're persuaded by an idea, right?
Yeah, but you can choose to allow yourself to be persuaded by it.
I don't know. I don't really
like.
agree
I
with
can
that.
choose to feed into what some consider, like culty AA or brainwashing, right? I can choose to be like, yeah, I don't want to do any of that stuff, or I can be like, all right, I'll listen to your guidelines. So you guys have preset, it's working for you and it's working for a bunch of other people, maybe I'll try it.
But you've gone through this before and wanted something outside of AA, right? And and it didn't work, but so like there was at one point where it wasn't persuasive to you, and then at this point it is persuasive to you, but like you didn't really play.
What wasn't persuasive to me? This lifestyle?
Yeah.
Okay, well, it was persuasive. It wasn't so persuasive, but I did it anyway, and then I was persuaded, right? And then I fell off of that, and then I guess I wasn't allowing myself to be persuaded again. So like, that's the choice that I'm talking about. It's like I allowed myself to be like, all right, this is persuasive enough for me to do it, and now I'm back at that though. Because I look back on that first time I got sober, it would like true sobriety, and I or whatever I guess it was, but I was way more lost, right? And now it's going through it this time again. I gotta know that it worked, so I'm gonna allow it to happen again. And I also know that it takes way more time than I'd like it to. Like, I'd like to just go right back to, years of sobriety, right? But it's not how it works, right?
Yeah. And we can drop this now because we've been talking about it for a while, but I would say that like your ability to allow that to happen still falls outside of your control. Like you have that ability or you don't, and it comes from prior causes and conditions, whether or not.
Well, some things I have my controllables, right?
And I do think it makes sense in most of our life to act as if we have free will. I'll say that too. It doesn't make sense to constantly be like, if you don't believe in free will, like me, it doesn't make sense to constantly be thinking that like I'm not in control. And it does make sense to like settle in and think as if I'm an actor in the world.
Well, if you don't have free will, who is controlling you? Or like, whose will is it then? Like, what is that it?
Well, it's not will. It's just things rolling out. Like it's just our brains and nature doing what it does.
I think I read sometime that a lot of the founding fathers were I don't want to say they were deist, because that's like loving, or they were naturalist or something, where they believed that something created this universe, right? That there was some kind of omnipotent being, whether he's a great architect or God or whatever you want to call him. There was that thing that created it, and then once you got down to planet Earth that we're on, completely free will, laws of nature. You live by the laws of nature, and he does not interfere whatsoever. So a lot of the founding fathers were, that from what I read, were that, right? So it was just created, and then you get down here, you're a naturalist, and you kind of live by the laws of nature down here. But what about animals? Do you think animals believe they have free will?
I don't know if animals think about that.
Yeah, good for them.
Yeah.
Like they don't have to think too much. Just kind of get up, go throughout their day, and go through. Like you can learn a lot from something like that, except for the ones we domesticated. Now, like, does a dog believe that he probably questions himself on if he's allowed to do something or not allowed to do something, So we're just domesticated animals, I guess.
Yeah. Am I going to get punished for this?
Shit.
If I shit on the carpet, is he going to rub my nose in it?
Yeah. So maybe you're right, though, that we live by some weird kind of set of guidelines that have been ingrained in us over generations and generations and thousands of years as human beings, that maybe we don't really even know what free will is anymore. We just have been told after generation what we think free will is, right? And opposed to like an animal that's feral and lives in the wild, probably has way much more consideration of like what free will is, like, or a human being that lives, who's never come into the society that we live in today, because they didn't have this generational instillment of what we consider free will. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Like, does that make sense? Like, so what we consider free will might not actually be the free will that the God is actually talking about. This is just something that we've been taught over and over again of what we think free will is. And maybe it's really just a brainwashing. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Like it's a brainwashing of control that we have to follow these guidelines or we won't be successful. We have to follow these guidelines of free will or we won't have, I don't know, peace.
And that's how I've been thinking about like control, like in AA spirituality, like trying to exert control.
What kind of AA spirituality?
Like rather than surrendering, like trying to control situations can build like resentment or whatever, like the playwright trying to do everything in the book. Whereas if you kind of like live more in accordance with the way the things actually are, then you can recognize that you can't run the whole play by yourself. You need to hire some actors.
Well, I'll say when I'm sober, my life, I have a lot more of what I consider free will and control than when I'm out there using. Because when I'm using, dude, I pretty much don't have freedom of choice.
Yeah.
My day to day is to make sure I don't feel like crap, to make sure I get what my addiction is telling me I need to get. So the difference of if I consider sobriety free will and active addiction not, then
Yeah. It's a much more limited scope of what
yeah,
what you can do in active addiction, because you just need to feed that.
yeah,
addiction.
like my freedom of
You're a
choice is
slave to that.
gone when I pick up. I am that whole powerless thing. It's easier to understand when you're in the active addiction. To go, all right, I'm powerless over this stuff, like because I keep making these decisions when I don't want to. And when you're sober, you're supposed to say, "Well, I'm powerless," right? And then you have to like now implant it with steps 2 and 3 of like a higher power.
Mm-hmm.
But then you're kind of giving it up to somebody else. And I know some people struggle with that a lot of like, well, if I was born with free will, why would I give it back to God? Like, isn't that kind of a slap in the face to God to be like, hey, I want to give my free will back to you real quick because I can't control myself?
I don't want this shit.
Yeah. Well, some people struggle with that to
Yeah.
be like, no. And then he's like, no, I gave you that. Right. But then I have to go, oh, okay, but I still need some guidance. Right. And it seems like your guidance is pretty good, at least it's pretty peaceful. And it's not like, I'm not saying the guidance of like a Roman Catholic church where it's very God-fearing and like, like a dog craps in the house and rubs his nose in it type thing. Like, because some people have that mentality of that's what like faith is or a God is, a right and wrong person sitting up in the clouds, like, so I don't know.
So to bring it full circle, I feel like meditation practice gets me closer to understanding that stuff. And maybe it's God there, like maybe like when you get into that state, you're like, that's God talking to you in a more abstract way, or maybe it's a less abstract way, but like not that not like some dude coming down and saying I'm God, and not some concrete thing like I was saying would need my evidence, but like maybe that's where he is when you like release concepts and you're just sitting there as awareness, that then God can get in. And
well, that goes to like, have you read that book, The Art of Loving?
no.
Okay, you might like this. I think it was like used as a book in schools for like psychology or psychiatry or whatever it was. I read it years ago when I first got sober, and pretty much that is the answer: is God is love and love is God, and that's it. Like, we don't need it to be tangible. We don't need it to it's going to be abstract. There's no concrete answer to it. It is that just God is love and love is God, and that's like the whole thing throughout the whole. And then I remember the last sentence, I'm pretty sure, is God is love, and that's it. And it's just like that book, The Four Agreements, as well. If you've never read it, it's like the beginning part is like the Toltecs. They talk about that God is like light, and light is always working through another human being, that God works through other people. And that's kind of an answer to, he's not going to come down and visit you. You're not going to have this immaculate conception, right? Or I guess that's not the one I'm looking for. I hope not. But
Divine intervention.
Yeah, some kind of divine intervention. But it's going to be...
I hope I don't have an immaculate conception.
Yeah, I hope not either. That would suck. But you have this, that we don't need to look so hard to find this proof. It's actually being proven to us all the time.
Yeah, and that kind of is my perspective. Like, I don't know that I need to like be like, this is God working when you, or like label it as God or like whatever. Like, if it's there, it's there. But if there is a God, he's part of reality, and if you're like searching to get closer to that, then that's him. And I don't see the significance of like saying, oh, this is definitely God.
Yeah, my sponsor does like every day. When I talk to him, he'll say like, "Well, did you thank God today?" I'm like, "All right, like yeah," and I do every day now. And whether or not I got what I thought was a God in my life or whatnot, I'll still thank him, because like even the moments that I think we're him or think we're not him, I still want to thank him for it, because like there's, and like that's the part of, I just don't want to fight it anymore type of thing either. Like why am I? It just kind of wastes a lot of energy for me to fight.
Yeah.
Whether or not I believe in something, it's just kind of nicer to believe in something type of thing. Whether it be, some omnipotent being up there, or, just this is how the earth works. This was a good day, so I'm going to thank whatever it is up there for a good day. Whether it was I had a lot to do with it, or just, my cards were dealt pretty well that day. I don't know.
We're in agreement there.
Yeah.
Like I'll still pray and I'll still thank. I'll say God.
Yeah.
Like I'm not resisting the concept of it. I'm just recognizing that I'm not sure, but like I'll still do the things. Like I'm willing to run this experiment. Like there are all these people in AA who do these things, and it seems to be working for them. I'm more than happy to try those things out and pay attention and see what happens.
It also helps me, like, bad situations are not as bad anymore. Like what used to be so catastrophic, it's not as, like, I'm calmer. Like things aren't just as catastrophic anymore. It's just kind of, oh, well, things happen type of thing. Like it just, and that's where you don't realize things are happening so much, because they happen gradually and over time. And, you don't, it's not like, you just wake up one day and you kind of got this feeling, right? Because that's addiction, really. Because I can wake up and control that feeling. If I want like a hit of something, I can get it, right? But this whole concept that we live in now, which is, I guess, sobriety, it happens slowly. And there are those moments, though, sometimes where I feel really good about a decision I made. I'm kind of proud of myself, or I like did something, or not, like without my control. I mean, because there's certain things, like I went for the run on Sunday. I controlled that, right? I controlled that I trained for it and that I did it, and I'm proud of myself, and the journey was nice, and I worked hard, and I think I got a good time. But then there's other ones where you just kind of have like, you run into someone at a meeting, or you run into someone anywhere, and you're like, dang, that was like really nice, right? And like that's kind of the like light or love that just happens in your life. Mm-hmm. That I also didn't get that much when I was in active addiction. Like the active addiction part was, I was trying to control it constantly, trying to make sure I kind of got that feeling. And so if I'd run into people in life, it was more of like if we want to call it God, trying to have an intervention, be like, you need to stop or something, like you're going to die. Because there was times that I definitely don't know how I'm still alive. Don't know how. So yeah, I need to get back to a meditation practice. Like this is nice, because that's one thing that I'm really grateful to have you in my life is we think so differently at times, Yeah. Like wildly different at times. But we also, one thing I think we're really good at is we're really open to, I'm really open to your ideas, and you seem to be open to mine, which is something that I'm really grateful for as well. Which I don't find often in people. Like some people are very set in stone about being like, no, you need to do it this way, you need to do it this way. Yeah. But like when you talk, I go, maybe I should consider that type of thing, or I'm still going to do my stuff, but like that's a good idea too.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel the same way.
Yeah. It's nice. We can wrap this up soon, but I'll never forget going back to that moment of, I can picture sitting across from you in that room, and you're just dead, dude. Like you're just like if I could give a color to it, it would be gray.
Was that IOP the first time?
Yeah. Sitting across from you in there, and you're just like you didn't speak much. I don't want to say you couldn't talk, because you could talk, but it was just, hey, yeah. And you're like, I don't really know what I'm doing here. I think you said, I don't know if I'm an alcoholic. Mm-hmm. And it was like, And then I grabbed your number afterwards. I was like, hey.
Yeah, I was like, who the fuck is this
Yeah,
guy?
yeah.
What
And I
does
was
he
like,
want to do with me?
Yeah. I was like, do you want to go to a meeting maybe one time? I remember you like texted me or called me like a day or two later and like, I'm open to going to a meeting. And I was still on like my probationary period in the house that I was in. So like I couldn't really do it yet. And I was like, damn, man, maybe I shouldn't offer that because I can't really do that yet, even though I told him I would. And I felt kind of bad. And I was like, who is this guy? Do I even have the energy to help somebody right now? And then, yeah, it was wild to see. And then you like came in the next week and you're like, yeah, I drank. I did it. But you still showed up, which was wild to me because I wouldn't have. You still showed up. It was like you were still searching for this meaning. In my mind, I remember thinking that, being like, this guy really has no fucking idea. But like I've been through it, so like I kind of have an idea of what I think is going on in my head or other people's heads in this moment. But it was really cool to see that you're in this moment where you then had to go through this whole process of where we're sitting here today. It was wild, but like I never thought that seeing you sitting across from you at that IOP to where we are today is it like where your mind is right now, like going through your meditation and, you know, choosing to now make yourself, I think like Lauren and I were talking about like making yourself kind of a science experiment in a way to be like, all right, how can I expand my mind? How can I, if I'm doing what I'm told here, but I'm also going to do my own thing here. Like it's been a really cool experience to watch.
Yeah. And I mean, words can't capture how grateful I am for you. Cause
yeah, appreciate it.
I mean, I'd say that you giving me your number there, that may have saved my life. Yeah. So if you're laying in bed thinking of if you helped anybody, just, you know, I'm 2 doors down. This wouldn't have happened without
just
you.
Right past the bathroom. It's right there. Yeah, kind of wild. And then, I mean, just that year afterwards, I mean, it took us a year to get to like where we're at right here, which is a wildly different experience from like going through what we went through. Like, obviously 2 different avenues, right? I went through trying to, like, I already knew what I needed to do, but I was kind of refusing to do it. And then you were still in this, in my mind, I don't know if it's true, but exploratory stage of, am I really this, or can I do these things, but also still maybe try to get what I want out of it? And, but I was still there too. I was being like, well, can I kind of be sober, but also do this? And can I still chase women while living in, while living with 3 roommates in a halfway house? Like, can I do this? Like, can I still pretend I'm a good person? Which I think I am, but like it was just, it was nuts. Like, it's so nuts, like, looking back on that. Like, geez, I'm, my bunk mate, because that's what I was in a bunk bed, is tweaking out every night, and I'm just thinking, like, oh, maybe he's not that bad. You know, like, and as I'm, like, on another dating app, thinking, like, God, what do I tell these girls, dude? Like, so what are you doing right now? And I'm just lying. You know, like, oh, nothing. You know, just, if I told the truth, it was like, my bunkmate is claiming, because this is a true story, claiming that someone has, that his spouse of 25 years older than him has stolen all of his winning lottery tickets, and she's cashing them for millions of dollars right now, and he hasn't slept in 3 days. So, like, but he's somehow still here.
Get me out of here, please.
Oh my gosh, I remember believing that guy for a couple of days too, being like, dude, like, you got these lottery tickets? I drove him to Northeast Philly to his house, dude. And then we took an he came out of the house with an air conditioning unit, put it in my back seat, and because I needed one. And I needed an AC because we had no AC in the house I was living in. We had 0 AC, so I was living in this house. It was hot, and he's like, I'll get you an AC, though. And I was like, all right, at least I'm going to get an AC unit, a window unit out of this. And I drove him down.
Steals it from his wife.
Of 25 years older than him, apparently. And he was like 45 or 48 or something like that. So I put her at whatever age, 70s. And I remember thinking and being like, I'm either going to get an air conditioning unit out of this, or I'm going to get this guy's lottery tickets with him, dude. And so I'm like kind of juicing him up a little bit, being like, yeah, dude, you should go get those lottery tickets. He's like, dude, I got so many of them. And he told me how he was the luckiest man in the world, and that he knew how to beat the lottery system. And I fucking believed him for like a couple days, dude. I was like, dude, this is like, he had no proof to show me. But I don't know why I was so convinced that this guy was telling the truth, man. And then, but I also knew if I could just get a window unit out of it, like that was going to be enough. And I got a window unit out of it. He came running out of that house with the window unit and then just told me to drive away, and I did. And I went back to that house and put that window unit in, and no lottery ticket. And then he was kicked out like the next day. So they were like, he was using. I was like, he was? No way, dude. No way.
Oh, is that why he wasn't sleeping?
I was like, dude. And
is that why he was talking like that?
Yeah, dude. It was so crazy. And like, but I look back how crazy I was in that moment too, being like, God, man, I was so fucking nuts to believe this guy, man. And
as you, I mean, and you've had to remind me, like, dude, I know this seems like your whole life right now, but like everybody in there is mentally ill, including you.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you can't really trust these people.
Oh, I remember.
You can't trust what they're saying.
Yeah, it's weird when you sit in those places and you are like, this is my fucking friend now, dude, and I'm gonna be friends with them forever. Dude, they tell you to be that way. I don't know why, dude.
Yeah,
because you're not like, we have this rare thing where we actually spoke after treatment, right? Most of those people you're never going to talk to again. And in your head, you're like, I've spent 4 weeks with them, man. I know everything about them. They were vulnerable. But then, yeah, I remember reminding me being like, that guy's a liar. I bet you what he told you is not true. Most likely, he might be telling you some truth, but I bet you they're probably not telling you the truth. And it's an odd place to be, man. Like, if anyone wants to ever experience those places, you don't, okay? Because it's a mental institution. Like, I remember sitting in a treatment center one time just being like, I'm not in rehab. I'm in a mental institution. Like, they just put it under the term of rehabilitation center or whatever it is, treatment center. It's a mental institution, dude. That's what it is. Everyone is suffering from some kind of mental illness in here.
Yep.
And you got to get out. You got to find a way. You feel like one flew over the cuckoo's nest. They're feeding you drugs. They're giving you your doses every morning, afternoon, and night, whatever it is. And you kind of walk back. You kind of do a little shuffle back to where they're at. And all you're thinking, if you can break out of it, you're thinking, I got to get out of here. I got to make sure I don't come back here. And then you start like really, it's almost like the blinders are lifted. You start looking around the room a little bit and you're like, oh my God, everyone in here is crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm in here too.
It's a 60-year-old man right there acting like a child, throwing a tantrum.
Oh my God, those are the worst ones, dude. And saying, dude, they throw temper tantrums.
They do.
They throw full-on temper tantrums and you're like, God, dude, but I'm one of these people.
You're going to be out of here in 3 weeks, dude.
Oh my
Chill
God.
out.
Oh my God, but 3 weeks. 3 weeks. Yeah, bro. 21 days. That's it, dude.
Complaining that it's not like
perfect.
Yeah, like where do you think you are, dude? You're not in a resort.
Oh my God. See, that's one thing. I think we're pretty level-headed people, and you sitting there with others and you're like, the food's not good. Why is there not more coffee? Like, they're just children throwing temper tantrums. You understand what a 20-year-old's doing in there a little bit, right? But when you have like the 56-year-old men and women just throwing temper tantrums,
oh man,
demanding things,
I feel so bad.
And you look at some of the staff in there and you're just like, and they're kind of rolling their eyes being like, I've seen 100 of you this month.
Yeah.
You know? And you're just like, damn, you think you're so special. You think you're some of those people. I didn't think I was that special in there, but you see some of those people who just think that they are like the first ones to ever go through it, and the rules that are set in there, they want to change them. And I mean, I'm guilty of it too. I remember trying to change the rules a little bit in rehab one time, being like, I think you guys should do it this way.
Yeah.
And they're like, you're insane. And I'm like, no, I'm not insane. I'm not insane, dude. I'm telling you, it would just be much better if we did it this way. And then they're like, yeah, but this is why we do it this way. I'm like, yeah, but it's wrong. And it's like, geez, man. Like, I owe an apology to some of those staff members too. Some of those techs, man, just being
trying to change the rules, like as if you're not, as if you're going to be there forever. Because that's what it feels like. You become institutionalized, and it's like, this is my life. This is my life. This is my family. This is my life. And I don't like the way that they do this. So let's get a committee together and
yeah. Oh, I had a petition going. And how quick you forget. Day 2, you leave that place or whatever place you're in. First day, you get in that car if they like drive you home, or like you can get in your own car, drive or wherever. You leave that place, and within 2 days, you don't even feel like you've been there, right? You're like, I don't even remember being in that place for 4 to 6 weeks, whatever it was. So, and I just wasted so much time worrying about changing the rules when I probably should have worked on some stuff in there. You're like, I didn't get
But it is a legitimate complaint about the co-ed housing, though, because that's dangerous.
That should be. I'm talking about the stupid rules of like, when I am allowed to do whatever the hell I want to do, whatever rules I've made up in my mind that I think are correct. But co-ed housing,
we should have yogurt.
Oh my God!
We should have yogurt in the lounge,
or like just complain about what kind they have and being like, it's just like just be grateful you got some yogurt, man, or like be grateful that you have like whatever meal that they've given you that day, because you watch those temper tantrums being like, this is disgusting. It's like, bro, I'm pretty sure they picked you up off the street and brought you here, and you looked like crap a week ago.
You haven't eaten in a month.
Yeah. Seriously.
Fucking yogurt.
Like, you're 30 pounds underweight or 100 pounds overweight. I don't know, either one. Like, I think food's the lesser of problems. Just then don't eat, But yeah, it's a wild place to be in those things, man. It's I look back on all that stuff and go like, geez, man, how did they deal with me and not just others, but it's wild. But you think we should wrap this up? I have to pee really badly too. I'm afraid my pee's gonna be blue. I'm afraid what my organs look like right now too. If they're all blue, they're just stained blue. It's really, really, really blue.
It feels blue. My liver feels blue.
I mean, it's so blue, it's black. The methylene blue.
They think you've got like black lung.
Well, I looked up. Oh, I got blue lung. I think I was looking at some of the stuff, and they're like, will it come out in your pee or stool? And I didn't finish reading it. Maybe I guess I'll find out.
Yeah.
But
all right, let's wrap.
All right, cool.
Goodbye.
See ya.